All right. What is going on, people? We are back again. What is going on, people? We are back again. I do apologize. I know I'm running about 30 minutes behind, but that's okay. That is okay. As long as I'm here, I think that's what's important. But welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are having an amazing weekend. I was thinking about what to talk about in today's live stream, and I thought about giving you guys an update on the price of Bitcoin, the altcoin market, but also, and this is very important right here. Also, I wanted to talk about what to stay away from, right? What to stay away from if you're thinking about making a long-term investment, an investment that you are planning on holding on for 3 to 6 months, 6 months to 12 months, or 12 months to 2 years or 3 years. I wanted to talk about what to look for in terms of technical analysis if you are trying to pursue that type of investment. So if you're looking at the cryptocurrency market and you're not interested in short-term trading and you are only interested in long-term holding, time frame wise, holding for 6, 12 months or 12 months and beyond, I wanted to share with you guys exactly what to look for. This is going to be an episode. This is going to be a live stream that you absolutely should stick around entirely. So, once again, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time, I am going to ask you to consider subscribing. Hit that subscribe button. It shouldn't take too long. If you're watching the live stream, hit the like button. And even if you're just watching the replay, hit the like button. So we're not gonna waste time. And actually, look, I do have some time today. Maybe I can go on for, we might do an hour, and I'll give you guys until 4 p.m. Eastern time. So we have an hour and 20 minutes. So this is going to be a very, very long live stream. But anyways, look, let's not waste time. Let's jump straight to the point. Let's start with Bitcoin. Let's do altcoins, and then let's talk about what to look for if you are a long-term investor and you're looking for something that you can hold for 12 months and beyond. So, excuse me. Bitcoin is back above $90,000. I told you the last couple of days that I'm expecting the price of Bitcoin to push to around $96,000 to $97,000. I don't think I want to repeat myself, but just in case this is your first time watching this, simply put, Bitcoin has been consolidating in this range right here between the mid $80,000 range and the low $90,000 range. So we are currently very close to a support. And as long as the price can stay above this yellow line, the expectation should be that we should see the price of Bitcoin somewhere around this upper yellow line. And that gives us a target of $96,000. So as long as the price of Bitcoin continues to look like this, as long as the price of Bitcoin stays above $84,000, this is 84,000. I'm looking at this low right here. We should be expecting to retest, somewhere around here, somewhere around $96,000. So in the short term, that means I'm pretty much very bullish on Bitcoin. Also, if you go to the weekly, we talked about in a bear market or in a downtrend, price likes to come back and retest either the 21 weekly moving average or the 50 weekly moving average. Looking at the 21 weekly moving average, we are currently around $99,000. So by the time we retest the 21 weekly, it could potentially be somewhere around $96,000 or somewhere around $97,000. We also talked about, if we don't retest the 21 weekly, we could retest the 50 weekly moving average. The 50 weekly moving average is right now exactly at $97,800. And that gives us exactly this yellow line right here in terms of, targets. So, very much I remain very bullish on Bitcoin long as we stay above $84,000. And, these are my reasons. These are my reasons to think, we are more likely going to see those targets. Another reason is that I believe what we have right now is a bear flag. So if you look at, what a bear flag looks like, it looks exactly like this, where price, is going down, and then at some point you start consolidating with higher highs and higher lows. So if you look at this picture right here, let me see if I can, zoom in. If you look at this picture right here, guys, it looks exactly what we have right here with Bitcoin, right? Price of Bitcoin has been going down. All right, price has been going down like this. And then we started consolidating in this range right here. And if you look at the characteristics, we do have higher highs and higher lows. Higher highs, higher lows. So the expectation is that, we are going to see a retest of this yellow line right here. The probabilities of going to $96,000 has definitely increased. Another reason is, if you are looking at this price action and you put a, trend line right here, if you go from the absolute top of the bull market, $126,000, and you connect it to this high right here, it gives us a nice trend line that brings us all the way down here where we touch another high right here. And if you look at the price action, Bitcoin has managed to do what? Bitcoin has managed to break out. So with this breakout right here, once again, we are more likely looking at a Bitcoin that is about to go up and retest $96,000. So that would be my update on Bitcoin. Let's talk about Ethereum, before we move into the altcoin market. So if you look at Ethereum, it's exactly the same pattern. This looks exactly what we have. Well, maybe not exactly, but because I don't want to say exactly. It's not, 100% exactly, but there's a lot of similarities. So we have a clear breakout, all right? And you have a high right here, around $3,400. The price of Ethereum could potentially come back and retest the 21 weekly moving average. That gives us a target of $3,300 right now. All right. If we go up to retest the 50 weekly moving average, that gives us a target of $3,200. We are actually, very close to $3,200. But Ethereum also looks very bullish. Could we go higher? Probably. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we, maybe go up to around $3,600. But, you can also do something that looks like this. This also gives us a nice trend line. And what you have right here is an Ethereum that could potentially come up and just retest this, $3,300. Going back to the weekly, where is $3,300? It is exactly where the 21 weekly moving average is. Just in case you guys are wondering, why do I keep going back to, the 21 weekly? Chat, in a bear market or in a downtrend, price likes to come back to retest the 21 or the 50. So this was the last bear market. We had a major crash from $4,800 down to 21. And then we had a massive rally up to retest, all right, back to retest the 21 weekly moving average. At the time, we managed to get above the 21 weekly and then, ended up now holding around $3,500. Also, if you look at the 50 weekly moving average, that is also another moving average that I like to, utilize. So if you look at this right here, a retest, this is 2018 bear market, a retest of that 50 weekly moving average. That was a good place to take profits if you, got in around $400 and price went above $500. That was a good place to exit. So, look, I respect these moving averages because during a bull market, I look for retest of the 21 weekly, and I'm always bullish when price comes back to retest either the 21 weekly moving average or the 50. So, if I trust the EMAs to act as a support during a bull market, then I should be able to trust the same EMAs to act as resistance during a bear market. And this is exactly what I'm doing. This is technical analysis, simplified. Not try to complicate stuff. Just looking at the most obvious, looking at what's in front of me, and the more I look at the chart of Bitcoin, the chart of Ethereum, to me, it's very straightforward. If you want to come up with, other reasons to, speculate on what is happening and, try to form a different opinion based on factors that are outside of technical analysis, then, by all means, you do that. But if I'm looking at this market, if I'm looking at Bitcoin, if I'm looking at Ethereum in the short term, we are very bullish. And in terms of targets, I'm looking at price coming back towards those, moving averages on the weekly time frame. And also I'm looking at the trend line. I'm looking at, different patterns, looking at bear flag in terms of, Bitcoin, looking at the 21 weekly moving average, the 50 weekly moving average in terms of Ethereum. If we take a look at Solana briefly, Solana is currently around, I believe, $100.31. Looking at Solana, this is a move that could potentially push us up into, looking at Sol right here on the weekly, guys. My 21 weekly is around $158, but also when you go back to the daily, you can clearly see this is a range of interest. I think this range right here to me is a place where if you are in a Solana position, you start thinking about taking profits. Because if we can break above, $172, then you start looking at Solana and you start thinking about, are we now looking at a Solana that is trying to establish an uptrend on the weekly or the daily? Because getting above 170, getting above this high right here could potentially change the dynamic of this chart right here. So, we'll see how this all plays out, but these are your targets, and short-term wise, I think you want to be bullish on this market, especially if you look at this daily candle right here. This to me looks really, really good. But if you come back right here, guys, if you watch many of my recent updates, I talked about bullish divergences on the daily. So while the price of Solana has been going down, if you look at the MACD right here, guys, the MACD has been trending up, higher highs, higher lows. If you look at the RSI right here, RSI has been trending up. So this was a fantastic buy opportunity. And also in terms of targets, you can, measure your target by just simply looking at, all right, if we do get a breakout, then I'm looking at the measurement of this entire pattern. So a breakout will give you a target of, 143 let's just call $150. So if this is your entry, maybe your stop loss is just right below 122. If your entry is around 127 or 130, stop loss just right below 122, and you targeting, 145 to 150. You're risking about probably 5% of your capital. Yeah, you're risking about 4% of your capital, and you're going after a 15 to a 20% move. This is exactly how you trade, guys. You want to make sure you are risking $1 to make $2 or more. In this case right here, the risk is absolutely worth it. You're basically risking $1 to make, to make $3 to $4, which looks really, 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 really good to me. So hopefully that was helpful. We just talked about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. If you guys have any questions, just feel free to put them in the chat, guys. Happy weekend. This is a 2026 first weekend, so I hope you guys are having an amazing time. If you have some projects that you would like me to analyze, put them in the chat, guys. If you have some projects that you would like me to analyze, put them in the chat. I will talk about altcoins, and then I do want to spend, the rest of this live stream, which this is going to be a long live stream. I should be here for another hour. I want to spend a huge chunk of my time talking about exactly what to look for if you are a long-term investor and you want to utilize technical analysis. Because if you are a long-term investor, you want to make sure that whatever asset you accumulate is trending up on the higher time frame. You want to make sure on your highest time frame that asset is trending up. So I'm going to show you guys a bunch of examples, and then we can, talk about different assets. But once again, welcome back. I hope you are having an amazing weekend. If this is your first time right here, do me one big favor and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and let's keep on going. So, what should we start with? It looks like somebody wants me to talk about XLM and Monad. Absolutely. Let's start with XLM. XLM right here. Let me get rid of these EMAs. So XLM looks really good if you're asking me. If you look at the state of this daily time frame, once again, bullish divergency. While the price has been coming down, lower lows and lower highs. If you look at the MACD has been trending up, higher highs, higher lows. If you look at RSI, trending up, higher highs, higher lows. XLM right now is trying to break out, or should I say it has already managed to break out. I do think this is a good place to jump in. If you are getting in right here, I do want to say this is not financial advice. Make sure you do your own research. But this to me looks really good. Maybe not right now. Maybe you wait until this daily is closed, because we could potentially get a pullback. But two things could potentially play out over the next couple of days. Either after this breakout, you get a nice little move, and then you get a pullback to either retest, I'm looking at 21 cents, or potentially come all the way back to 20 cents. And then, we put in lows, and then price goes higher. So something like this could potentially play out. Or, we don't pull back right away. Price goes up a little higher. Maybe we get to around, I'm just looking, 25 cents, and then we get a pullback right here. We retest 23 cents, and then we go up. Or if it doesn't play out like that, we get this breakout, and then we kind of go sideways for a little bit. All right, and then we get the move all the way up to my target. So my target, I'm looking at this entire range right here. So anywhere from around 27 cents to 36 cents, that will be my target. So in terms of what this trade will look like, you are jumping in. Let's say we close around 23 cents or 22 cents, close us to 23. You're jumping in right here. You're looking at a 20% profits. And then in terms of how much you're risking about 10%. So that's basically you're betting $1 to make $2. Look, it's great. That is a very risk to reward ratio. That is, I don't want to say phenomenal, but that is good. Now, personally, I'm risking $1. I'm making $3. I'm making $4. So maybe you be a little bit more patient, and instead of putting your stop loss just right below 19 cents, maybe you go down to the 1 hour, and then you look for the most recent low on the 1 hour time frame. So in this case, right here, you really don't have one. You wait until the bottom is formed, and then you try to jump in. The only one we have right now would be, below 20 cents. I don't think this makes sense to me because, look at how far you are from your entry. If that is your entry and you're putting your stop loss right here, that doesn't really make sense to me. But yeah, in terms of the setup, Stella looks really good. And I'm expecting, price to come up and retest this entire range right here. Going to the weekly, remember, I keep going back to, hey, keep your eyes on your 21 weekly or your 50 weekly moving average. So the 21 weekly is exactly in this box right here, guys. 21 weekly is at 28 cents. So if price can go from 21 to 28 cents, that's that 20% profit that we are talking about. Now, by the time we get to the 21, it could potentially be around, I don't know, maybe 27 or 26 cents. This is all speculation, and we are talking about a moving average. This is not 28 cents is, set in stone. This is going to be a different price by the time we get this move. But this looks really, really good if you ask me. So the next project I will give you guys an update on is XRP. XRP, we also talked about it. I'm looking at XRP, and I see a move all the way up to, this is a beautiful daily candle right here. So I see a move all the way up to around 28 cents. If I was looking at XRP, if this is the entry right here, stop loss is just right below $1.81. Once again, this is not financial advice. This is only for educational purpose. So make sure that you do your own research. When I say you can take this trade, I'm not saying go ahead and take the trade. What I'm saying is if I was interested in this trade right here, this is exactly what my approach will be. Make sure you conduct your own research. Make sure you do your own research. And if you are seeking financial advice, go to a professional. I am not a professional. I am only a YouTuber that is in this market, and I'm only providing what is educational and entertainment, just for entertainment purpose, of course. So anyways, I am liking this. To me, this looks really good. And once again, the last couple of days, we talked about bullish divergency. Stop looking at the price. You may be looking at the price of XRP today. XRP is trading around 18 cents. XRP is trading around 20 cents. That is meaningless. What's important is what is the structure. So recently when we were looking at XRP, we knew XRP was bullish because the structure was there. Bullish divergency, lower lows, lower highs with the price. But when you look at the MACD, when you look at the RSI, higher highs, higher lows. So this is very important, guys. And this move right here should not be surprised when it comes to any of you guys who consume my content on a daily basis. So if you go back and you look at my my updates, this is one from about 7 days ago. Look, I said all coins are setting up for a major breakout. All right, all coins are setting up. This was AVAX, $12.41. We talked about other projects. You can clearly see right here, I spent a lot of time looking at the RSI, looking at the MACD, and I was loving what I was seeing in the charts. So do hopefully none of you guys is very surprised with the current price action. Remember, we said in a bear market, in a downtrend, there is going to be counter trend rallies. And this is exactly what you are experiencing right now. SUI, we talked about SUI, guys. I did share a trade with you guys. I said SUI, in terms of targets, I'm looking at a move towards the low $2 range. Look, SUI is currently around $1.64. This is phenomenal. The setup of SUI is phenomenal. This is a setup we talked about. Entry somewhere around $1.40. Stop loss just right below $1.31. Risk is only 9%. Profits, you're looking at 60%. These are the trades that I die for. Right? These are the type of trades that I'm willing to go all in on. If I'm putting $1,000 on the line, I'm expecting my profits to be anywhere between 400 to 600%. My risk is less than $100. Just think about that, guys. If I have $1,000, in terms of profits, I'm looking at $400 to $600. I'm saying $400 to $600 because maybe I'm not waiting until price hit my 60 cents profits. Maybe I'm starting to get out the moment I'm up 40%. If I'm right, I'm walking away with $400 to $600. If I'm wrong, I'm losing less than $100. I'm losing $90. Right? Just think about that, guys. Does that make sense? You're risking less than $100. If you're wrong, you lose $90. If you're right, you're making $400 to $600. Now, think about if it's a $10,000 position. Think about if it's a $5,000 position. This is what we call risk management. Anyways, looking at SUI, this looks really good. Once again, not financial advice. Do your own research, guys. I'm not telling you to do anything. So looking at SUI, this to me looks really, really good. And I'm just giving you guys an update right now because, the last couple of days, I gave you the entries. Look, this was SUI, guys. $1.39. So this is a trade. I talked about it in real time. This is the risk, 9%. So you look at SUI today. This is phenomenal. Look, SUI, that position, and the beauty of this is that now that the price is at 164, you can actually just move your stop loss higher. And now, no matter what happens to the price, you don't have any more risk. And you actually lock in some sort of a profits. So if this was an entry, this position is already up about 15%, guys. So think about that, right? If you have a position like this, you can comfortably just move your stop loss to, just right below $1.50. So now you don't, you no longer have any risk in the position. Timing is extremely important. Looking Aerodrome Finance. We talked about Aerodrome Finance. Strangely, when we talked about Aerodrome Finance, we were somewhere around here. And I said, I didn't think the price was going below, 30 or 36 cents. Straight after that, price went up 40%, not 400%. So if this is a trade that you took with a stop loss below 36 cents, $1,000, you would have net $400 profits. There's no reason to get out right now. If I'm looking at this, to me, this is the pullback of this breakout. So if I go to, maybe the 1 hour, actually, let me get rid of this blue line. If I go to the 1 hour, I'm looking at this right here. All right, you start look for entries. All right, so the entries could be maybe you catch it during a pullback. I don't know if we come back to, below 50 cents, or you simply just put a trend line right here. And if you do get a breakout, let's say you get something like this. If you do get a breakout, this is your entry right here. And you're looking to exit, I don't know, somewhere around, who knows. Where is my target? So if I was looking at this, though, my target is somewhere around here. Somewhere around 70 cents. So entry, if you got the entry right here, guys, 60, 70% profits. And if you're looking to jump in around here, you're probably looking at a 20, 30% profits. Again, great trades. Very, very good trades. Look, this candle right here, this daily close, this is phenomenal. And I think next week, Next week we should get more volume. Just thinking about the holidays. The holidays are over. Like if you think about this entire week, I mean, who was trading? To be very honest, guys, it's a new year, Christmas time, the festivals. People are traveling. I mean, who was interested in this market? Now next week is basically day one. Monday it is basically day one, and I think volume is going to increase. And if you are a short-term trader, you look at setups like this, you are intrigued, and you look for opportunities. Like how can you size, the short-term opportunities? How can you take a full advantage of it? Because clearly, unless you have been short in this market, you haven't participated. Unless you are a beginner, right, guys? The professionals have not traded this market the last couple months, unless they were shorting it. Like what? If you look at Aerodrome Finance, all right, if you go from this pump right here, from early November, like you shouldn't have took any single trade, all right, zero trade, guys. Right now, there's a reason to participate. If you look at Bitcoin, since early November, like Bitcoin has been going sideways. You want to tell me somebody was trading Bitcoin from 80,000 to 90,000? But absolutely no way. Absolutely no way, guys. Like these are the type of environment, what we've experienced these last 2 months. These are the type of environments where you get killed. And if you don't have proper risk management, if you are not an experienced trader, like those were the type of environments where you blow up an account. Because, and especially if you use leverage, because longs are going to get blown out, shorts are going to get blown out. Guys, I don't have to say this to you. You've seen it. All right. How many times on X? What's the page? Is it Watch Guru or something like that? Like how many times was he posting? Millions and millions of dollars of longs have been liquidated in the last couple hours. Millions of billions of dollars in shorts have been liquidated in the last couple hours. Like how many times did you see the post? All right, so many times, guys. But right now, if you are a short-term trader or a swing trader, you're looking at altcoins and you go, okay, there's a reason to participate in this market right now, even if it's just for a short period of time. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, appreciate you guys for joining me. Hit that like button, guys. Hit the like. Subscribe. Subscribe if you're new. If you're new to the channel, I want you to subscribe. You should absolutely subscribe. And all right, let me see. Monad. I don't even know what that is, but it's fine. We'll analyze it. And then I do want to talk about if you are a long-term holder. Guys, this is very important right here. I need to show you exactly what to look for and what to stay away from, because you want to make sure that whatever asset you are thinking about picking up in 2026 especially, you want to make sure it looks exactly how I'm going to show it to you. So you want to make sure you're looking at an asset that is only moving up to the right side. Anything that's moving down and is giving you lower highs and lower lows, yeah, you want to try to stay as far away as you can from that asset. And I'm talking about, don't even include it in your watch list. Like honestly, it's not even worth it. So let me take a look at Monad. Monad USD. Okay, I don't see any US. Okay, is it this right here? Probably. All right, so Monad. Okay, this looks really good. Do we have something else with more data? Let's see if we have something else with more data. Let's go right here. Okay, all right, so this looks really good. Now, I'm just going to do TA, but if I'm going to give you my opinion, to me, this looks like a pump and dump. And the reason I'm saying that is because, I mean, look at this price action. Like, this is This is a whole mess, man. But anyways, this looks really good. And the reason I say this looks really good, at least on the daily, is because finally something is happening right here. All right. What I do want to also say is that, look, if you see something like this is extreme, look, this is somebody pumped this and they also dumped it straight after, because this is not organic. All right. 1-2 days and then the entire move was retraced. But this looks really good. It looks like, all right, chat. I might have to pause this for, well, maybe not. Yeah, I might have to stop this for a little bit because I need to charge the mouse. This is crazy. All right, chat. Just give me a second. Yeah, you guys, you have to give me some time. This is gonna take. I'm gonna be here though, talking to you guys, but just give me a second. Let me grab my charger. All right, all right, all right. Yeah, you have to just give me a second. I'm charging the mouse right now. It might take about, a good 5 minutes. But I'm right here. I am right here. So yeah, anyways, look. This market is bullish in the short term. Price should go up. I do think price should go up. Bitcoin, $96,000. A bunch of these altcoins will rally about 20%, 30%. Look, anything between, some altcoins might even go up more than 100%. Some alts may even go up more than 100%. But you have to be careful. And if you are looking to trade altcoins or this market in particular, you want to make sure you're in early, because this is a day cap bounce on the bigger picture. So if you're not in early, you are going to be in some big trouble, because this is going to come to an end in the near future. I think this is going to come to an end. And if you don't take profits, you're going to be a bag holder. If you don't take profits, you are going to be a bag holder. So whatever you do, make sure you're in early. Make sure you exit early. This is not about, trying to milk as much as you can from this market. This is about being very, very strategic. This is about getting in early, getting out early. Forget about trying to time the exact bottom of the move. Forget about trying to exit exactly at the top of the move. Just get in as early as you can. But when the setup is there and when the setup is clear, and if you can catch a 20-30% move, I say take your profits. And if you don't want to take 100% of your profits, at least be 70% out of the market. In my opinion, no one, absolutely no one, unless you're looking at Bitcoin and your strategy is to just dollar cost average regardless of the price. I don't think there should be anyone buying altcoins right now as a long-term investment. Like, honestly, it's not worth it. At least based on what I've seen in the chart. All right, based on what I've seen across the altcoin market, I don't think any of us should be jumping into these altcoins as a long-term investment. Like, absolutely not, guys. I know you may be thinking, well, this is the right time because most of these altcoins are already down 90, 80, 90, 95% from the all-time highs. But the truth is, guys, altcoins, they go down multiple 90%. Through our bear markets, they go down multiple 90%. Like they go down 90% for the first time, and then you get a rally, and then they go down another 90% for the second time, and then you get a rally again, and then they go down 90% for the third time, and then they go sideways for a very, very long period of time. This is a time when the bells is building, and maybe this is a time where you can say, hey, let me actually build a long-term position. But they have to be something that you see in the charts that says, hey, build a long-term position when the project is going sideways on the weekly or the monthly. But until you see something like that, yeah, try to stay as far away as you can. So anyways, I think we should be good right now. All right, hopefully it doesn't die again. So yeah, Monad, it is establishing an uptrend right now. So if I'm looking at this right here, look, as long as the next pullback doesn't take out this low right here, then you're looking at a project that is potentially going back to, these levels right here. All right. But now, is this a good entry? Look, yeah, I don't think so. Now, maybe you could have got in right here. Okay, look, if this is an entry right here, then I'll say stop loss is just right below this 25. If you're jumping in right here, yeah, the risk is too much here. So if the risk is 12%, then you are targeting. Look, if you are going after a move like this, then this makes sense. But if not, then maybe you wait for some sort of a pullback. So if this is a trade that you're taking on the daily, though, it does make sense. But if I go to the 4 hour, to me, I don't like it because we are already fighting resistance right here. So this is a place where we could potentially get rejected and then come back down. So what I would like to see on the 4 hour is, if we get rejected, do we come back here? And then I look for, some longs if we do bounce off this support right here. So if you look at this entire range, you have a lot of support. So if we can get a pullback, I'll be interested in a position. Other than that, yeah, the setup is there. And, as long as we stay above these lows right here, you're looking at a project that potentially continues up. So, yes, sir. That is that. What else? All right, so yeah, let me talk about this entire market, guys. This is something that I want to make sure, maybe I talk about maybe once a month, because I think this is going to provide value to all of you guys. And what I want you to get out of this is, what we are going to talk about is not something where, you come back 2-3 weeks from now and you say, has anything changed? This takes a very long time, guys. This takes a very, very long time to play out. Anyways. So, let's go. Okay. If you are looking to invest into the altcoin market or the cryptocurrency market long term, and what I mean by long term, I'm talking about 1 to 3 years. If you're looking to do that, then make sure whatever the asset is looks exactly like this. I'm going to show you guys an example of Bitcoin. So this is Bitcoin right here. And we are looking at Bitcoin on the monthly time frame. Chat, if the setup of Bitcoin does not look like this, or if the setup of whatever asset that you are looking to invest in does not look like this, I'm going to give you guys a couple of things that you need to look for. Does not look like that. If the RSI does not look like this, if the MACD does not look like this, I'm trying to simplify this out for you guys. If the MACD does not look like this, and if the price is not above your moving averages, stay as far away from that asset. Right? This is exactly what the setup needs to look like. Now, let me get rid of this. This is exactly what your setup needs to look like. You need to make sure that whatever the asset that you are interested in, long term wise, if you're looking to invest in something and that is an investment you hold on to for 1 to 3 years or beyond 3 years, you want to make sure your higher time frame, the monthly time is a good place to start. Look, you can start from the 12 month or the 1 year. You can start from the 3 months. You can start from wherever you want to. But you want to make sure the setup looks exactly like this. Your MACD needs to be above the 0 line. Your RSI needs to be above the 50 line. And your price or the price needs to be above moving averages. Right? That should be the setup. That should be the criteria. If it doesn't look like that, stay as far away as you can from whatever that investment is. I'm going to show you a bunch of examples because I want to make sure you see exactly what I'm talking about. So that is Bitcoin right there, guys. Let's take a look at MicroStrategy. All right, this is MicroStrategy right here. The best time to invest in MicroStrategy long term was back here. All right, sometimes around November of 2023. Price have broken above your moving averages on the monthly time frame. RSI was above the 50 line. The MACD was above the 0 line. This is the setup right here, guys. Right now, is it the best time to invest in MicroStrategy long term? Absolutely not, guys. MicroStrategy is doing the opposite. Right? With a setup like this, the expectation should be the MicroStrategy is most likely to continue to go down. Look, we could potentially go down another 50%. Right? The price of MicroStrategy could potentially go down another 50%, long as the setup looks like this. If you go from the top right here down to the current price, it is already down 70%. And I'm telling you right now, nobody knows where the lows are. So a setup like this on the monthly, you want to try to stay as far away as you can from the asset. Let's go and look at, I'm going to go into the stock market. Let's take a look at Apple, guys. Look, this is Apple right here. This is exactly what your long-term investment setup needs to look like. See how Apple has been in a long-term bullish uptrend. All right, going all the way back. Actually, let me do the log so that way it's a lot more cleaner. Chat, notice how throughout Apple's, I mean, this is like a 20-year bull market. You got to go all the way back from October of 2023. I mean, this is absolutely insane, guys. Look, RSI above the 50 line, MACD above the 0 line right here. I can absolutely zoom in if you guys are interested in that. Price breaks above moving averages. Look, you're not getting in exactly at the lows of, whatever the bear market was or the pullback. You're getting in when the trend has already established, when the asset is in a well-established uptrend, and you just ride it all the way up to, wherever your targets are. So you could have bought Apple. Yeah, you could have bought Apple back in 2023, November or December 2023, when the price was around 42 cents. All right. Ever since 2023, guys, despite bigger pullbacks on the monthly, Apple has been in a sustainable long-term uptrend. The criteria is the same, guys. The only time RSI was below the 50 line was in 2008. All right. And also in 2013. And also in 2016. And these were some of the best times to buy Apple. And also right here in 2018. But that was like a blink. All right. And then also in 2022 right here. But if you look at the performance of Apple throughout the last, 23 years now, price above moving averages on the monthly, RSI above 50 line, MACD above the 0 line. All right, a long-term uptrend was established back in 2003, and still now you're looking at a bullish Apple, guys. Look, you can jump in right here maybe you get hit with a pullback. All right, pullback down to retest probably, the 21 weekly moving average around $233. If you do get a pullback to the 50 monthly, if you do get a pullback to the 50 monthly moving average, that's one of the best times to buy the stock. Notice how throughout this entire bull market, guys, not one time, all right, not once, let me get rid of the 10 EMA. Not once did the 21 monthly moving average go below the 50 monthly. All right, going all the way back from 2023. Not once did this blue line right here, guys, go below the green line. A long-term sustainable uptrend. And notice how every single pullback on the monthly pullback, all right, every single one of these pullbacks are here, guys. Not once did we take out the previous low. Look at this right here. This is a low right here. All right, look at this low right here, guys. We're not coming back to take out this low right here. Look at this low right here. We're not coming back to take out this low right here. All right, look at this low right here. All right, this is what we call higher lows. A beautiful long-term uptrend. Beautiful long-term uptrend. Right here, right here. All right, so whatever asset that you are interested in a long term, where your outlook is 3 years or beyond, you want to make sure it looks exactly like this. If it doesn't look like this, stay away from it. All right. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. Look, NVIDIA, a long-term uptrend. All right. Every single pullback, you go all the way back from 2013, right here, guys, around 38 cents. You could have bought NVIDIA every single one of these monthly pullbacks. I want you to take a look at the bottom. We bottom exactly at the 50 monthly moving average. So at some point, we might get a bigger pullback to retest the 50 monthly. Right now, that is exactly around $100. Now, by the time we retest it, it could potentially be around $120. But right now, 50 monthly is exactly at $100. But despite pullbacks, on the monthly time frame, not once did the price of NVIDIA broke below the the monthly recent higher low. All right, look at this pullback. Look, this was a 50, if not 60%. Yeah, this was a 70% pullback, 66. All right, despite a 66% pullback, we still were in a long-term uptrend. So even if we were to get another one where price comes back to the 50, that will be about a 50% pullback. As long as we don't take out these lows right here, all right, or here, you're looking at price of NVIDIA staying in this beautiful uptrend. Right. With Bitcoin, you have exactly the same thing, guys. But with Bitcoin, you have to be careful because we have seen cycles where we actually break down on the monthly. So in terms of BTC, you have this right here. All right. This was a beautiful pullback. Now this one right here, another beautiful pullback. But guess what? All right. I want you to take a look at this right here. So if I'm looking at BTC right now, probably we might lose $74,000, and we might get a Bitcoin that comes back to somewhere around 50,000, 60,000 or lower. All right, probably. You look at RSI, all right, look at Bitcoin's RSI. If the RSI goes below the 50 line, that indicates that Bitcoin is in a long-term I don't want to say a long-term bearish trend, but we are in a long-term bearish territory, if I can call it that. So like right here, RSI goes below the 50 line, sometimes around May 2022. Of course, price of Bitcoin goes lower. Now, once you get your RSI below the 50 line, that is normally the best time to start looking for opportunities. And once the price of Bitcoin starts retesting and especially the 50 monthly moving average, that is normally the best times, to start looking at Bitcoin and start thinking about opportunities. But if I'm looking at BTC right now, in my opinion, this is not an opportunity. All right. This is a BTC where I'm very cautious. I'm looking at, okay, the 50 monthly is around $66,000. So I'm saying to myself, there's a chance. Anyways, look, let me not talk about Bitcoin. Let's stay with what the topic of this discussion is. So if you are a long-term holder and you're looking for investment in 2026, what I'm saying to you is if you utilize technical analysis, you want to make sure that whatever asset that you are interested in, long-term wise, the setup looks exactly like that. All right, price needs to be above your long-term moving averages. Your MACD needs to be above the 0 line. RSI needs to be above the 50 line, right? It just has to be that way. Otherwise, you are dealing with something that's going to give you a hard time. Okay? You want to make sure that you're putting your dollars into something, and if you are going to hold long term, you want to make sure that the probabilities of the price going up is higher. And this is what is going to increase your probabilities. So if I'm looking at Amazon, look, I could have bought Amazon sometimes around 2014, around $15. And I wouldn't have to worry. Okay, maybe right here, I wouldn't worry about a price of Amazon. But guess what, guys? Once we got back above $126, there was nothing else to worry about. Once we got back above $126, there was nothing else to worry about. You take a look at Google, all right? And I am showing you this because this is exactly what a true wealth creation asset looks like. If you want to preserve and at the same time increase your wealth and your net worth or your wealth, you want to make sure that whatever you are getting into looks exactly like this. Look at Google right here, guys. You could have bought Google around $36. All right. Okay, maybe right here you kind of panicked, but then somewhere around $100, $113, uptrend back again. Now, 315. Look, to me, this is not a good time to get in. It is extremely extended. I do think we are going to get hit with a big pullback. 21 monthly is around 218. Maybe by the time we get to the 21 monthly, at some point, we should be in the higher $200 range. So I'm not expecting, these type of a pullback or a crash. Like I'm not expecting, maybe a 30% crash, even though a 30% crash is, it's nothing to be afraid of. But in terms of Google, definitely a big drop right here. But probably we get something like this, like a 20% correction or even a 25% correction. All right. Is this the beginning of a correction? I'm not sure. All right, maybe we continue up, but this is extremely extended. So in my opinion, I wouldn't buy Google right now. But we're not talking about buying right now. What we are talking about is the characteristics of a great asset that is more likely to trend up, more likely to make you money in the long term. All right. So let me show you an example of what to stay away from. And of course, guys, I am going to go back to the cryptocurrency market. Look. This is what you stay away from. When it looks like this, you stay away from it. Because long term, the trend is not up. Look at this is a long-term trend, guys. All right, from 2021, Filecoin has been losing money over and over and over again. You want to try to stay away from assets that looks like this from a long-term investment. So this is why, for me, I just can't do it when it comes to this market. All right, there's no way I'm looking at these charts on the monthly and I see Filecoin looking like this and I say, hey, this looks really good from a long-term investment. Put money in this stock, in this project, and wait until, 2030. Guys, this does not make any sense. All right? And you may be looking at this and you may be thinking, well, surely this got to be the bottom. Chad, let me remind you, nobody knows where the bottom is. You think we're down 99%? We could potentially go down another 90%. We go down 50% from here. You're looking at Filecoin trading in the 70 cents range. What do you say after that? Another great buy opportunity? Absolutely not. So stay away from anything that looks like this on the monthly. All right. Let's take a look at CRV. Look at CRV, chat. Look on the monthly right here. This is not a good investment long term. This is terrible right here. Let's take a look at Proppy. This is not a good investment in the long term. Absolutely not. Let's take a look at Near Protocol. This is not a good investment long term wise. Good investments, they don't look like this on the monthly. I just showed you guys multiple examples. Let's take a look at Jasmine. This is not a good investment long term. So what I'm saying is not because I'm hating on the cryptocurrency market. What I'm saying is the truth. If you want to jump into something where long-term wise, you are more likely to make profits, great profits, despite short-term volatility, you want to make sure the setup doesn't look like that. Let me show you the best time to have bought something like a Solana. Back in 2023, I became extremely bullish on Solana once we start breaking above higher time frame moving averages. So, for instance, on the monthly time frame, the moment the price of Solana closed above the 21 monthly moving average, which was around $38, I was extremely bullish on Solana. The moment the RSI broke above the monthly 50 line, which was in October of 2023, I became extremely bullish on Solana. The moment the MACD broke above the zero line, I became extremely bullish on Solana. Now, I'm looking at Solana right here. Is this the same setup? Is this a Solana where we invest in long term? Absolutely not, guys. The monthly RSI has lost the 50 line. The monthly MACD is in a downtrend, all right, or pulling back, and price is losing moving averages. Right now, we have already lost the 21. All right, we are currently getting support from the 50 monthly moving average. But my outlook on this is that at some point in the next couple months, we lose the 50 monthly moving average, and we should see the price of Solana somewhere down in, the $60 range, somewhere around $50. So this was the best time to buy Solana. And I remember on the weekly, the moment we started breaking above $21, this is when I became extremely, extremely bullish on the project. But right now, I do not like it. All right now, absolutely not. So, hopefully, that is helpful. If you are a long-term holder, what you want to make sure is your higher time frame. It could be the monthly, it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months. You want to make sure you have an asset that is already trending up like this. Guys, I'm not talking about to trend like this. I'm talking about already trending up like this, where your moving averages are already below the price. These are your EMAs right here. Let me give it a different color. If those are your EMAs, you need to make sure you are a buyer. And when you have something like this, guys, look, I'm not saying you have to get in right here. Just make sure you get in somewhere around here. If you can get in somewhere around there, all right, somewhere around, let me change the color of this. If you can get in somewhere around here, all right, you are more look, even the beauty of a setup like this is even if you buy right here, guys, after this pullback, you will be in profits again. So whatever that you are looking at, for you guys who have questions, should we be jumping into altcoins long term? The setup is not there. All right, the setup is not there. And when I say the setup is not there, is just don't do anything. And if you want to look, if you think they look good and you want to jump in and you think in 2028, 2030, you make big profits, by all means, you do that. But the thing is, nobody knows how long this is going to last. Right? The problem is when long-term trends are down, nobody knows how long they take before they turn around again. All right? You could be looking at something that's going through bankruptcy. You could be looking at something that's maybe not going through bankruptcy, but people are just not interested in. The products, the services are just not great. if we want to jump into the fundamentals, or we could be looking at something that people just don't like. All right, so you want to make sure the trend is already up. You want to be a trend follower, not something where you think, oh, the trend might start. No, thinking the trend may start setting up is the wrong approach. So hopefully that is helpful. Once again, look, this is investing 101, to be very honest. Sometimes we try to complicate things. This is like if you do fundamentals, you are looking at a company and you go, okay, this is your income, these are your profits, this is your margins, things like that, right? You don't look at the company and say, unless you want to jump in early and say, okay, right now, you guys are losing a lot of money, but I think, 2 years from now, you are going to be in profits. I don't think that's the way you look at it. Unless you see something, right? If you do see something in the fundamentals where you go, if you can fix this, then you can, start looking at improvements in numbers. So in technical analysis, that will be, yes, price is going down, but the chart is telling you something else outside of the price. All right. But the best way to approach this is to jump in once the trend has already established. Right. Forget about getting in early. Getting in early doesn't pay. What pay is getting in when the trend has already established and the asset is in an uptrend. So I hope that is helpful. And if not, let me know how else I could be helpful. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. All right, those are the only two things I'm asking you. Hit the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment. Dun, 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 dun. All right, chat. Appreciate you guys, man. Look, we just did an hour and almost 10 minutes. I don't think I want to go any longer. I think I'm going to end it right here. And then tomorrow we'll we'll do some updates, I guess. $90,000, I think 96,000. We should see that pretty soon. Altcoins, I do think we are going up. So let's see how that plays out. All right, appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time.